All right, let's deconstruct a system so powerful it can make you doubt what you see with your own eyes. It operates in every boardroom, every team meeting, and yeah, every social circle. You felt it, right? That moment when you know something is just wrong, but you stay quiet. That little calculation you do in your head, risk versus reward, that almost always ends in you censoring yourself. Look, this isn't a failure of courage. It's a feature of a system. It's the invisible architecture that builds consensus, a lot of times at the expense of the truth. Today, we're going to expose the mechanics of group conformity.
This isn't just a clever phrase, it's a diagnosis. It describes the final product of a psychological mechanism called the spiral of silence. But I want you to think of it less as a spiral and more like a social gravity well. It's a system designed to get leverage over your emotional state. It uses that primal, unspoken fear of being left out to completely bypass your rational mind. It's literally tuning your nervous system to seek safety and agreement, turning what should be a simple discussion into a strategic cage for your mind, where the bars are forged from silent consent. So, here's our schematic for the system we're about to dismantle. We'll start with the output, the cage itself. Then we'll look at the inputs, our own psychological reflexes. After that, we'll map out the core engine that powers it all, understand its fuel source, and finally, I'm going to give you the protocol to override the entire machine. This is the masterclass. We're actually going to start at the end, with a flawed consensus that feels absolutely inescapable. Most of us think we're independent thinkers, that we're immune to group pressure, but the clinical reality is that when a group's social gravity gets strong enough, your brain, in a desperate act of self-preservation, will literally distort its own perception of reality just to avoid being the odd one out. You will see a short line as a long one. You'll see a bad idea as a good one. This isn't about persuasion. It's a survival mechanism. This is the consensus cage. Let's be really clear about what we're up against here. This isn't just a difference of opinion or some healthy debate. No, this is a clinical process. It's a social force that targets one of our deepest, most hardwired fears, the fear of being cast out. It doesn't try to beat your logic with better logic. It just bypasses it completely by making the emotional cost of disagreeing feel catastrophically high. It's an attack that goes right for your instinct to just submit.
So how does this machine actually work? Well, it uses our own psychology as its raw material, our own innate reflexes as its gears. The moment you enter a group that has already decided what the correct way of thinking is, your brain doesn't register a discussion. It registers a survival test. You feel your heart start to race, right? Your palms get a little sweaty. That's your body signaling a high-stakes social negotiation is happening. Let's dig into the specific reflexes it exploits. This one is fascinating. It's the silent, shared misunderstanding that can paralyze an entire group. So imagine you're in a meeting, and a truly terrible plan is proposed. You hate it. The person next to you, they hate it too. In fact, most people in that room privately think it's a total disaster. But because nobody says anything, everyone looks around and just sees nodding heads. So you incorrectly assume you're the only one who disagrees. Each person is waiting for someone else to speak the truth, and in that shared, deafening silence, the lie becomes the group's accepted reality. It's a collective illusion built on individual fear. You know this feeling. After you've seen dissent fail time and time again, maybe you were ignored, or subtly mocked, or just talked over, you learn to stop trying. That's learned helplessness. It's that feeling of surrender, that moment you decide it's just easier, it's safer to go along with the bad plan because speaking up just feels useless. And the cost of this is enormous. It absolutely crushes innovation, it tanks morale, and it leads entire organizations to march confidently right off a cliff. The consensus has made dissent feel not just wrong, but pointless. And this is what's fundamentally at stake. Cognitive sovereignty is your right to independent thought. And group pressure is a direct assault on it. By just performing agreement to stay safe, you are literally handing over control of your own mind. And the cost isn't just external. The sheer cognitive load of trying to balance your private truth with your public mask, it erodes your focus, your energy, and your integrity. The primary goal of group pressure is to make you give this up without even putting up a fight. Okay, so now we get to the engine that drives this whole process. It's a self-reinforcing cycle, a social black hole that generates consensus out of silence and fear. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a methodical, 4-phase process that tightens its grip with each rotation. It has 4 distinct phases that lock you in, step by step. We call it the Normative Influence Loop. Each step in this loop just makes the other stronger. It starts with an idea, which becomes the baseline. Then, it punishes anyone who deviates from that baseline. This creates a strategic silence among everyone watching. And finally, that silence solidifies the illusion of total agreement, which makes the next person who thinks about dissenting, well, it makes it even more difficult for them. It's a trap that just closes tighter and tighter with each rotation. So, it all starts pretty subtly. A particular opinion or a plan is put forward, maybe by a leader or just a vocal minority, and it gets repeated until it becomes the default, the accepted social baseline. Now, it doesn't have to be proven with data or logic, not at all. Its power comes from its presence, from its sheer repetition. It becomes the unquestioned starting point. And all other opinions are now judged not as valid alternatives, but as deviations from the norm. This is the leverage point. This is the moment control shifts. The first person to question that narrative anchor is met not with a counter-argument, but with a social punishment. It's almost never overt. It's a condescending tone, a dismissive wave of the hand, a sudden shift in eye contact, or maybe they're just completely ignored. See, this isn't a debate. It's a demonstration for everyone else who's watching. The group signals with surgical precision, this is what happens when you step out of line. Your brain immediately flags this as a social death zone. Now, everyone who just witnessed that deviant warning makes a rapid subconscious calculation. They weigh the risk of being socially excluded against the importance of their own opinion. And, well, most choose safety. They self-censor. And here's the twisted paradox. As more and more people fall silent out of fear, the illusion of unanimity becomes exponentially more powerful. The silence of the many is interpreted as the agreement of all. The sound of the crowd is used to drown out reason, and that sound is often just the echo of silence. And this is where the trap closes. The loop is complete. The consensus is now so strong that any form of disagreement isn't seen as just a different point of view. No, it's framed as an act of disloyalty, a betrayal of the group's mission or its values. At this stage, you are in a state of what's called status dependency. Your psychological survival, your very membership in the group, depends entirely on you maintaining the mask of agreement. The lie is now the truth. So what gives this engine its incredible power? What's the psychological fuel that makes it run so effectively, even against our own better judgment? It's because the threat it uses isn't just social or professional, it's deeply, fundamentally biological. It hijacks a survival circuit that's been running in our species for hundreds of thousands of years. So why do we give in? Why does the opinion of a handful of people in a conference room have the power to make us betray our own judgment? The answer isn't a weakness of character. It's in our neurochemistry. Our brains are running ancient software designed for a very different world, a world where being cast out from the tribe meant certain death. Let this sink in for a second. This is not a metaphor. Functional MRI scans show that when you experience social rejection, being mocked, ignored, or cast out, your brain activates the same neural pathway that fires when you break your arm or burn your hand. Your body literally does not distinguish between a broken bond and a broken bone. It just registers threat. Your brain is hardwired to avoid this pain at all costs. So the group, often without even realizing it, weaponizes our own cognitive biases against us. It leverages our primal pain circuitry, making us feel that being different is the same as being endangered. It exploits the halo effect, our tendency to just assume that if everyone agrees, they must be right. It sets a competence trap, where your valid doubts are reframed as a sign of your own incompetence. And it offers intermittent social validation, rewarding compliance with little crumbs of acceptance, making you mistake conformity for a true connection. Okay, so we've taken the machine apart, now we can learn how to disarm it. Escaping the consensus cage isn't about being confrontational. It's about being strategic. It requires a fundamental shift in your perspective. You have to stop participating in the drama and start observing the system. You have to go from being a piece on the board to being a player who sees the whole game. You have to move from being a member to being an observer. A member feels the emotional pull of the crowd. An observer sees the mechanics of the machine. A member is emotional, they're compliant, they're looking for safety and agreement. But an observer is clinical and strategic. They find safety not in agreement, but in the awareness of the system being run on them. This mindset shift is the first and most critical step to getting your cognitive sovereignty back. So here it is, the 3-step tactical protocol. First, cognitive reappraisal. The next time you feel that pressure to stay quiet, silently name it in your head. This is normative influence pressure. Just labeling the feeling engages your rational brain and helps break the emotional compliance spell. Second, find dissenter redundancy.
Never go it alone. And third, reframe your dissent. Don't attack the group's idea. Instead, present your view as a risk audit or a stress test for the good of the shared mission.
And that second step, finding an ally, you won't believe how powerful this is. Research from the classic Asch conformity experiments is absolutely stunning on this point. Having just one other person in the room who shares your dissenting view can reduce the group's social leverage over you by nearly 80%. One ally. That's all it takes to shatter the illusion of unanimous consensus. It doesn't prove you're right, but it gives you the psychological permission you need to trust your own judgment. Okay, we've taken the machine apart. We've seen its inputs, its engine, its power source, and the override codes. And all of this brings us to the master key, the single most important strategic insight of this entire system. The crowd doesn't have to be right to be powerful. It only has to appear unanimous. Breaking that illusion of unanimity, that's where all the leverage lies.
This architecture of agreement is always being built around you. Whether that control is used to enforce a lie or to create a safe harbor for the truth, well, that's the ultimate test of leadership. Awareness collapses the system. So use this knowledge. Use it not just to defend yourself, but to change the dynamic. Use it to see the architecture, not just the agreement. Use it to find your voice when all you can hear is the sound of the crowd.